Hello guys, and welcome to a new GTK tutorial. Today we are going to learn a new widget, or better say we are going to learn a new container, a container which we are talking about a lot of times. It is a container which holds only one child, and the name of this container is GTKBin. We were talking about it in a lot of videos because most of widgets, they are derived from this container, because if a container needs only one child, then the GtkBin is the needed container for this kind of job, isn't it? So GtkBin, it is a container which with just one child. As you can see, it has only one function, and its description says the GtkBin widget is a container with just one child, so it is not very useful itself, but it is useful for deriving subclasses, since it provides common code needed for handling a single child widget, isn't it? Okay. So, okay, we have a lot of widgets, some examples here which are used in GtkBin, like GTK window, button, frame, and so on. Functions, as you can see, we have only one. We don't need more, isn't it? You will see why, or you will know at the point when you will ask yourself why, but you don't know. If you are not sure or you don't know why, you will learn that. Anyway, the function I'm talking about is the GtkBin getChild. For this, we need to GTK widget to declare GTK widget pointer. Let's say getBin, and then we are going to point it getBin to the GTK getBin child function, and this function, as you can see, expects a GTKBin, which means we need to cast GTKBin. We need to cast our object to the GTKBin, and we are going to pass now the window because we need to see its child. And now that we have it, let's print it. So const gchar const let's say get name. So we are going to use GTK widget get name, and we are going to pass the getBin right here, and let's print it. Print the child is, or whatever, %s get name. Now it should return us the child of the window. It should be the grid. Okay, the child is GtkGrid, so it works fine. So basically, this is the way how you find the child of an object. If you now create another, let's say a button, GTK widget button, and let us create a button right here, GTK. Oh, sorry, I need to point it. Button. We're going to put it to GTK button new with label, and let's call it click. GTK container add. We are going to add it inside our GTK container, our grid, and the button. Now that we pass the button, we are going to find the child of the button at this point. So the child of the button, it should be the label, isn't it? Because we create a button with the label. So now it should return a GTK label for us, which is true and works fine. And we have a button which says click, and the click label, we got it right here, and it is called GTK label. And this happens because we didn't give some name for the button or something like this. Anyway, what do you think it happens now if we try to get the name of the grid, the child of the grid? What do you think it happens now? Normally, probably you'll think, or it should get as result the child is GtkGrid, isn't it? Because the button, sorry, because the GTK button is the child of the grid. So we are passing our grid to GTK being getChild to get its child, which is GTK button. What do you think it happens? Whoa, do we have a lot of errors, is it? well, this one are not interesting for us, but this one is interesting for us. Invalid cast from GTK grid to bin, which we found out something. Now let me show you something. Let me make a copy and make some changes here, like a lot of people used to make this kind of mistakes. GTKBin, I'm going to cast to GTKBin our grid, which is basically for some of you maybe the same thing. Okay, GTKBin. Well, you see, we have some problems here, more problems, because now we get the GTKBin get child assertion, GTK is bin failed, which of course it is inform you that it failed the function, but we don't know why, isn't it? Well, this is another reason which I'm told you in some videos, I'm telling you right now again, never cast something directly to like this. Just use those macros which are provided for you, because those macros like this one, GTKBin, like this one, does a runtime check for you and informs you that line is bad and gives you some information. You see, we have now 3 1 to 3 warnings, and this is the important one which we said. You see, invalid cast from GtkGrid to bin. Okay, but why do we get this? I mean, I need to get the child, isn't it? I need, so, or better say, let me, you know what, let me create another button 2, and I'm going to use GtkGrid attach GtkGrid, just a second, which is the grid, and then which will be the button 1 0 0 1 and 1, and again for the second button, which will be 0 1, so left 0 1, top 1 1. Let me remove this container, because now we added those 2 buttons which we were create them, and let's call them button 1 and button 2. So now we have 2 buttons, but I need a child of the grid. We saw already that is not working. Why? Let us go a little bit back. GtkBin, it is derived from GTK container, but not from GTK grid, isn't it? GTK grid itself is also derived from GTK container. So if we go now down the way right here, we have a GTK box, and if we move right here, we have a GTK grid. You see, so you cannot get the child of GTK grid with a GtkBin function, because it's not working. They are 2 different objects, 2 different families, if you want to call like them. For this, you need to go to GTK container itself, and the GTK container itself has a lot of functions. We are going to talk about this, and I'm going to create a playlist at some point. But now, even if we used a lot of functions from here, it is time to use another one again, and this time we are going to use the GTK container get child. This is the function which you basically needed if you want to find out the name of the child of the grid, so, or maybe it has more childs, like in this case. So I'm going to make some changes. Those changes are now like this. I'm going to pass here the window, because I need to the child of the window, which is the grid, and the child of the grid, we are going to get it like this. We need this function. For this, as you can see, we have a linked list, glist, right here, which we need to point it to this function, and we need, of course, the container, the child, which is in our case our GTK grid, isn't it? So let us see how it's working. So g list and whatever list, and we are going to point it to this function. Okay, I did some bad copy again, and now GTK container, because the function expects a GTK container, and now we are going to pass the grid. Once that we have it, because we already know how a linked list works, isn't it? We are going to work with a while list, while, and I'm going to say list, because as long as we have no null and it's working. This means list, we need to point it to list next, isn't it? So basically this is the way how we iterate our list. Now because we can iterate it, we can say const gchar const get name, and we are going to point it now again to GTK widget get name, and here we are going to pass the list and of course the data which is inside the list, because here we have the information about what exactly stores this linked list for us. So now we can print it, isn't it? G print, and let's say the name of the child is %s, new line, and then get name right here. Now let's see what happens. I'm going to compile it and run it, and we have a small problem. We say the collection of get name shall approve. Yeah, okay, get names then whatever. Okay, I need to change because I use the same name, and we have set but not used because we didn't okay, I need to do something with the button too, and for this, okay, I didn't put, sorry, my bad, I need to include it in the grid, inside the grid. Now I'm going to compile it and run it. Well, now it works fine, isn't it? Watch, we have a window which has a grid inside. The child of the window is, as you already see here, reported by GTKBin get child function. It is the GtkGrid, which is true, and the GtkGrid itself has 2 childs. We don't know how many childs. We don't care about how many childs because we did find it with the help of list, where we were iterating through it right here, and we found out that the grid has 2 childs. The name of the child is GTK button, the name of the child is GTK button, which are those 2 buttons. Cool, isn't it? Well, this is the way how you work, and this is the way how you handle basically the GTKBin container. More you don't need, because it's not important. If you need more information about this, I'm going to let you now to check the properties and try to list those properties and see if you have properties available for the container. This will be a homework for you if you are interested. And if you find out some properties, just leave a comment with a list of them, just to be sure that you are following this story. Until then, thank you guys for watching. If you like it, please subscribe, share with your friends and neighbors, and until next time, see you guys.